I was about to start a riot there. That was bad. We are now back with after some massive issues on my end. So just to say what happened, GP4 has the exe files which it swaps when it goes to mods, and because we have the 300% damage, and that file got corrupted for some reason when it was swapping back from yesterday when I closed the game after the stream. I had to replace that one with with an with one from another mod, and now it's working again. And yeah, this is an, I'd say, common thing that can happen, but it doesn't happen often. But if you're somebody who runs lots of mods in the game, this can happen. But yeah, I was about to throw my computer off the balcony, but now we are back. And I'm going to let our commentators talk in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go.
Thanks for that, Yuri. That brief explanation. But anyway, we are now back, as Yuri has said, and hopefully no more issues at this point in time. So it should be a sunny session. We haven't got the screen share yet, but we should get that very soon. And but at least now we know what the issue is. It is a similar issue. Yuri told us actually that it was a similar issue to what he had in his old Lampsa series that he had. Kind of a similar issue there, and that's that really. So luckily he didn't have to chuck his thing over the balcony. But anyway, still a sunny session once the timetable was off. So this time around, take number 3.
Yeah,
we still have to go through this long loading screen, I'm afraid. So. Yeah. Right. So he might have a different helmet on this occasion, but we'll have to wait and see. Right. So still got to go through this long loading screen like as usual with Baku because buildings. But anyway, so hopefully we'll be in for quite an exciting qualifying session, albeit right, moment of truth. Let's see what happens. The screen is still on for us at the moment, and there you go. We're in the garages. There we go. We are in the garages at long last. So we can now finally, after, well, it seems to be nearly a 50-minute delay, we are now in the qualifying session. So no need to... So, and obviously as well, because it's Baku, we have, it's draining covers. So anyway, here is Armar Kar. He's going to be the first to come out on the track, the king of Baku. He will be the first to come out onto the racetrack as he goes through the left-hander and out on the track. He will go now then as he makes his way towards turn number 2. Now, obviously yesterday he topped the practice session. And obviously this week he desperately needs to get some big points on the board, and he would love to do that by making it 4 out of 4 here in Baku. Of course, Armar Kar, known to everyone as the king of Baku, and he'll be looking to continue that streak this week if he can, as he now approaches turn number 4 on the racetrack before making his way towards the very slow chicane. So here we go then. So around the left and then into this 90-degree right-hander, getting us close to the wall on the outside before making their way towards the double right-hander. Obviously, yesterday as well, he was followed by the two Red Bulls of Franco Gamba and, of course, Miklos Gal. They'll be looking to try and get into the mix for pole position if they can. The Honda engine seeming to have just as much power as what the Mercedes has down the straight, but one team to keep an eye on when it comes to straight line speed power is, of course, Ferrari. We know how quick they are on the straight compared to the Mercedes, Honda, and even the Renault as well. And maybe we could even keep an eye on what goes on with Renault as well. We know their car is very draggy as well. Given that yesterday's practice session, we didn't really see a true reflection of the leaderboard, we could see some very interesting results. But Car is about to start his lap very soon. This is probably the last proper corner before they head towards these flat-out final few corners before heading down the longest straight on the calendar. And if you want to, Dennis, you can probably take us around a lap of the Baku City circuit.
Okay, I'm not very good at this, but I try. So
A minute of truth.
yeah. She goes down the long straight over the line, starts step. Oh, 335. Hard braking to turn 1. Yeah. As I said, goodness, now to turn 2. Not the long back straight. To turn 2. No. Yeah, I need a little bit heavier, to be honest.
You want me to continue on, Dennis, or are you okay for the moment? I didn't quite catch what you said.
You can continue here.
Alright, well, we've just come out of turn 4 now then, as he now makes his way towards probably the slowest part of the track, I should say. I don't think even the castle section matches to this. Through the left and then through, still slowing it down through this 90-degree right-hander, getting as close to the wall on the outside. We have seen a couple of crashes here in the past in other series, GP2 for note, as now Carr makes his way towards the double right-hander, which kind of thins out on the exit before you approach the castle section of the racetrack now. Then heading into the castle section using all the curb on the left, up the hill you go, through the right and then into the left, all medium speed. You probably lift off through these corners as they now make their way towards the flat-out double left-hander, through the first left-hander, pretty much going past where Grosjean had his little moment, through the second part, and then down towards this 90-degree left-hander. Very easy to smack it into the wall. You can literally outdo yourself into that corner. We obviously saw Pile up there back in 2016 as well, involving a few cars as well. Luckily not too much of an issue. We just came out of that final braking part of the track, as now it's flat out for the remainder of the lap, through the left, then the right, and then down towards this long straight. Car is obviously going to be setting the benchmark of time for everybody to beat as he comes down the pit straight now then, as a very long straight now then. 7th gear. I know it says 8th gear on the graphic, but please ignore that. It only goes down to 2nd gear on that graphic. There's only 7 gears on Grand Prix 4, but Car crossed the line to do a 136.7. Here comes Gabriel Gomez in the Ferrari-powered Alfa Romeo. Let's see what the 2017 DTM champion can do. Gomez is going to cross the line, and he goes into 2nd place as predicted. Here is Felix Sontar with Dennis Graff's helmet. That will obviously get changed if he makes it into Q2. Lopez goes quickest. Sontar goes to 4th. Kirishima De Rosa goes into 3rd position. Motrin crosses the line, and he goes fast. He gets in front of both Mercedes there. Very good time for Motrin. Wow. Martinez now then comes across the line to go into 6th position. Andre Verderi, meanwhile, slots the tip. Here is Joseph Willows in the Ferrari-powered Ferrari, and he's definitely up on Motrin right now. You just saw it there come up. Here comes Willows now then. Across the line comes the Ferrari man, and he goes fastest by 0.5 of a second. And then Gamba beats him with a 1:35.842. A very good time for them. Gal only 7th that time by. Here is Mackenzie in the Draghi Renault, and he goes 9th with that time. Cupot goes into 8th. Catalan slots to 3rd with that lap. A good time from Catalan. Not been a great first lap for Mercedes, it must be said. Campana, 13th for him so far. 4th for George Roque. Here comes Loa Chung, who's been on pole the last 2 times. She only goes 8th with that time. As Chatfield goes, where did he go? He went into, didn't quite catch that. But anyway, we look at his teammate Fosbury now then. He goes into 17th. Tomaselli goes to 10th. Here comes Titkov in the Manor. Across the line he will go, and he goes last with that time. So at the moment it is Gamba at the top, but the Mercedes only 6th and 7th so far. So a very interesting first lap, it must be said, Dennis.
Yeah, indeed. So, and ironic, Marco Lopez was stuck, but had traffic from the same car as yesterday, but with different driver.
Absolutely, but a very exciting first few laps, it must be said. Of course, slipstreaming could be a thing as well. You've got to get, as Robert Ionescu said in the GP2 commentary yesterday, you have to get in the slipstream at the right time around here if you want to get a really, really quick lap in. around here and possibly have a chance for pole position. Very interesting stuff there from Mr. Marta. So anyway, as Gomez pulls his way in front of the garage, which George wrote, because I know he's watching the stream. He kind of came at the right time for this. He calls it in commentary the Black Hole of Calcutta. So I think we can give that a nickname. Flo has said several times he's tried to remove it, but he's never had a chance to do so. So the Black Hole of Calcutta is staying where it is at the moment. So just thought I'd let you know about that as Martinez gets in front of his garage. So now here comes Rosetta Martinez, who is being wheeled into the garage by his crew. And so far finds himself in 19th, again ahead of his teammate Titkov, as Yuri pointed out yesterday. Kind of a similar situation, what has been going on, like with Etienne Jones last season. It seems that Martinez has been getting the qualifying pace sorted out compared to his teammate, but in the race it seems that Titkov has had the measure of him so far. Luckily for Martinez, it is only his first season, so maybe as experience gets to him, he'll be able to improve on that a little bit later on in the season. We'll have to wait and see on that as we look at car at the moment. So at the moment, Sontag will not have the helmet change for Q2 because at the moment he's down in 20th. In order for him to get that helmet change, he needs to get into Q2. So as Campano is now being wheeled back into his garage, Titkov has now got back in front of his garage as well, and he'll be wheeled back into the pits. Now, yesterday I mentioned that I have created the 2020 Manor livery as Gomez goes out onto the track for the next set of runs. I have created it, and you will be seeing that 2020 Manor, aka the final ever Manor, in the 2020 sign-up. So be on the lookout for that within the next 5 weeks, I think it is. So yeah, be on the lookout for that as Gomez comes out of the second corner, and he's joined by one of the Mercedes, and I believe from the looks of it, I can't really quite tell actually, because both Lopez and Carr have quite a dark helmet. I know they've got different colours. Lopez has a purple helmet, and Carr has... Yes, you are correct there. It is Franco Lopez currently in sixth. He desperately needs to... Well, I wouldn't say he desperately needs to improve, because he is, I think, kind of safe, it must be said, when it comes to going through into Q2. But if this was Q3, he'd definitely need to get a move on. That's for sure. But luckily it isn't. It is only Q1. So we look at Gomez just making his way around the double right-hander on the racetrack before making his way up towards the famous castle section. We've only had one crash here in the top class during the race, of course, courtesy of Rick Yan. And... hopefully that stays like that for the duration, but who knows really, as Gomez goes around the double left-hander. One thing we hope that doesn't happen during the course of this race is some of that happened during the practice race, which involved Jay McKenzie deciding to spin to do a what's the band called, the one that's sang "You Spin Me Right Round, Baby Right Round." Don't get copyrighted there, please. That one basically. I don't know which corner that was. I presume it must have been turn 1 or something like that. I wasn't there when the stream happened. But hopefully something like that doesn't happen during the course of the race. But anyway, Gabriel Gomez... Yeah. Anyway.
I wasn't there.
Anyway, we now look at Gabriel Gomez who goes around the first corner now then before approaching the second corner. And one of the McLarens has just come out onto the racetrack. Well, both of them are out there. It's just a question of which one it is. I think for the looks of it, it looks like it might be Thomas Selly. I think that's just come out onto the track. And as Gomez makes his way around down towards turn 3, he's got the Mercedes of Lopez catching him up. So again, Lopez might get himself stuck in traffic, and it won't be further good news for him, given that the car ahead of him has a Ferrari engine. So it will just potentially bolt down the straight if it gets anywhere close. So, and it has got close, in fact, so Lopez is might get compromised again. Traffic has not been kind to Lopez so far this weekend. In quotation marks, I say weekend. So, as now we make our way towards the castle section now then, through the left, a little right before a left and then another right, lifting through these corners. and then approaching the bit where Grosjean had his moment. Obviously, down there is where Franco Gamba had his moment last season with the opened up throttle issue. So here we hoping the same doesn't happen to him this season in the Red Bull. Currently, Gamba finds himself at the top of the timing sheets as Gomez approaches the end of Sector 2, and he's not on an improvement by 4 tenths, and I wouldn't imagine that Lopez is on an improvement either, given that he's currently stuck behind Gabriel Gomez at this point in time. They make their way towards the final 2 turns on the racetrack. Lopez again getting stuck by the Ferrari-powered Alfa Romeo. Down the pit straight we go, the longest pit straight, or the longest straight I should say, on the GP4 OC calendar. Down the straight we go. Let's see what Gomez can do. Can he perform some kind of miracle in the last sector with that Ferrari engine? I don't think he will, and no he doesn't. Lopez doesn't improve either as Tomaselli and Campana start their lap. Here comes Felix Sontag with Dennis Graff's helmet across the line, and he goes 17th, so still not able to get out of the bottom 6 at this point in time. Kirishima De Rosa crosses the line, and he remains in 9th position. Here comes Rosetta Martinez and the Manana. So far, not on an improvement. Currently 2.1 seconds off of Gamba. Of course, we're not expecting him to be up at the top. It would be a big surprise if he did, but we're not expecting that, of course, from the Manas, not even from the Williamses, or even the Haas, sadly, it must be said. As Martinez crosses the line, no improvement for him. Here comes David Kupak. He's on an improvement, and he goes into 10th for that lap, so gets himself in the top 10 for Dairy. Doesn't improve. Car, meanwhile, goes up to 2nd, so an improvement there from the King of Baku. Here comes Matteo Catalan, and no improvement for the Italian. George Roque, he is on the improvement at the moment, but can he keep it up in this final sector? Across the line, he will come, and he does, to go up into 4th position. As here comes Joseph Willows, no improvement for him, remains in 3rd. Roland Motrin crosses the line, and he goes 6th fastest to get in front of Lopez at the moment. I think he was already ahead of Lopez, but still improving on less. Titkov, meanwhile, goes up into 15th. A good time for him there. Here comes Miklos Gal. This looks like a good time, and he goes up into 4th position. Laura Chung also on the improvement. What can she do? She goes into 7th position, so not quite getting the pace at the moment. Jane McKenzie goes 13th at this point in time. Frank Garma's on improvement, and he goes even further quicker by 500 of a second, a 1:35.788 now for the Italian. So a further improvement for Franco Gamba. Here comes Evan Byrne, who's on improvement. Byrne currently finding himself in... where is Byrne? Well, he goes up to 8th now. It doesn't really matter. He goes up to 8th. A big improvement there is Chatfield. I think he's got a problem. He has. He's got a brake problem. Oh, unfortunately, Chatfield is not going to get a chance to start a lap because he's got a brake problem. That's a shame for the GP2 title contender last season, as Lopez and Gomez there having a bit of a squabble as they go into the pits. Here comes Tomaselli coming across the line, and no improvement for him so far. Campana crosses the line to go 16th, so he now gets himself into the top 16 right now, which will take him through. And I think that's these runs done with. I think we might get one more lap for some other guys, including Chatfield, who's had to come back in, possibly to hop out and get into the spare car. So I think we should see Chatfield going on track first of all. So be aware of that. Sontag, he might get one more lap in. We'll have to wait and see. We have 5 minutes to go in the session. Over 5 minutes to go, I should say. 5.5 minutes, I should say, as well. That's the second time. But that's the second time I've had to correct myself there. Well, if they come out below 1:35, then they will not get a chance to do another lap. But they have plenty of time to do that. So I think unless there is some cars still roaming around the track. But if I'm going to predict, I think we should expect everyone. We've got a yellow flag, actually. We've got a yellow flag on the track. Who is that has caused the yellow flag? And it's Gamba. It's Gamba with an engine failure. That is an engine failure for Franco Gamba. The man at the top of the session has an engine problem. So luckily, the ironic thing is at the top, but his engine has decided to give up the ghost. So a bit of a shame there for the Italian as he's being wheeled back by the marshals. Let's see when he got the problem. We're going to rewind to a point in time, and in fact, it looks like he got it just coming into this double right-hander. Let's see then. So coming out of the exit, and it's just right there, just before he got to the castle section. When does the car start smoking? It actually starts smoking there, just as he was about to turn in. So, a bit of a shame there for Franco Gamba, but luckily for him, he'll be able to hop into the spare car and get one more lap in before the session comes to a close. So maybe he and Chatfield can get out a little bit earlier than everybody else, but we'll have to wait and see on that, because that's how usually Grand Prix 4 works. And obviously, Gamba pulled off at this corner right here, just before the downhill section, before the final braking zone of the track there. So a bit easy for the marshals to tow away there. So as the marshal nearly getting run over there by Paolino Tomaselli. So it seems like the marshals on this game always seem to have a bit of a death wish, it must be said. They always seem to have a bit of a death wish on here. So That's that really. Luckily, Campana was nowhere near the marshal when he came there. But luckily, even if they did get to the marshal, they'd just go through them anyway. So it's not going to be too much of an issue. As Catalan being wheeled back into his garage there, into the Toro Rosso garage. Now, well, and Marshall Light, I guess we need to care more about our marshals, it seems, on Grand Prix 4. So, anyway, as a little bit of a tickle there on in my throat. So, anyway, Franco Lopez in the chat saying, what's in that Honda engine? Have a look, FIA. Trying to get an advantage on your rivals, are we, Lopez? So, well, it's very clear that the VTEC might have overheated in that engine, it must be said. So, anyway, as Gomez just comes out of the right-hander, we did see a little bit of that. Speaking of VTEC, we did see it in full display at China, actually, last time out, when Gamba passed one of the Mercedes. I believe it was Lopez, actually, ironically. So, maybe Lopez spotted that as well when he got by him, that the VTEC, quote-unquote VTEC, kicking in on the back of the Honda there. Which were the memes that got created thanks to Max Verstappen at the Austrian Grand Prix in 2019, and it's still really the case today, to be honest with you. But it won't be after 2021, or I don't know, they might still be, because Red Bull has obviously got the IP on them from 2022 onwards until 2026, I believe they've got the IP till. So I guess we'll still see the VTEC memes for the next 5 years, I guess, but then after that, who knows. But anyway, Gomez now then coming around the final two turns before making his way down the pit straight. Again, he's one of the first to come out onto the racetrack. And just looking on the list, Chatfield has got himself back out onto the track. The problem seems to be solved, and so has Gamba, so they've got out in the spare cars. Some people still waiting around in the pits, including the likes of Loa Chong and Roland Motrin. And as Gomez has just started his final lap as he makes his way towards the first corner, and there's some traffic on the left. That's one of the racing points, and it's Roland Motrin that it is. And if Gomez is not careful, he's going to get held up by the racing point. So that's not going to be good news for Gomez, given that he's down in 15th and could be under threat for being knocked down the bottom, given that the bottom 6 are all out on track. So might be a bit of a worrying time for Gabriel Gomez as he makes his way towards the left-hander. And now into the right-hander he goes. Luckily not being affected too much, I don't think, by Motrin. He's not right up his exhaust just yet, but he might be when we get to this slow bit of the track. Through the left and then into the right-hander. And getting as close to the wall on the outside. Let's see what Gomez's first sector is like as he comes towards the end of sector 1. And let's have a look. He's 3 tenths down off his personal best. So at the moment, Gomez not looking at an improvement at this point in time. As Gomez now makes his way up towards the castle section through the left. And then into the section of corners that come at you quite quickly, must be said, when you go up that hill. And now heading towards the quick double left-hander. With just over 2 minutes to go in this session, and now making their way towards, I guess, a near 90-degree left-hander. I don't think it's quite 90 degrees due to how much of an angle that corner is, basically. But anyway, Gomez now then through the left-hander and still down on his personal best at the moment. So I don't think, unless he can perform some kind of miracle, i.e. tugging onto the back of Motrin's slipstream, which I don't think he's got, actually, because I think Motrin is actually starting to pull away from him a bit. Then I don't think Gomez is going to improve, but we'll wait and see anyway, as Gomez makes his way down the pit straight, and let's see what the Brazilian can do anyway. If he's able to perform some kind of miracle in the last sector, across the line he will go, and no improvement for Gabriel Gomez. As Mackenzie starts his lap, Lopez is on improvement, finally no traffic in front of him, so at least we'll now get to see some proper pace from Franco Lopez. As let's see what the Argentine can do. The championship leader crosses the line to go into second, 300ths off his fellow Franco. So great lap from him there then. Martinez not on an improvement at this point in time, and it looks like he's going to be knocked out at the moment at this point as he makes his way through the section of corners. Into the final 2 corners on the racetrack then goes Rosetta Martinez as he'll now make his way down the pit straight. And let's see what the Filipino can do. Across the line will go Martinez, currently on the back row at this point in time. with Chris Chatfield. Martinez now then across the line goes the Manor. I don't think he's going to improve, and no, he won't. And Martinez is out in Q1. Chris Chatfield, meanwhile, goes to 15th. He might have just saved his bacon. His teammate, meanwhile, he's also on an improvement. Fosbury, who is also in the drop zone, he goes only 19th. So Fosbury is out. Stontag, meanwhile, goes 18th. Sadly, he's also out. He'll obviously get his helmet back tomorrow, that's for sure. George Rent, meanwhile, crosses the line. No improvement for him. Here comes Matteo Catalan, currently finding himself in 7th position. Had a very good Q1, it must be said. No improvement for the Italian. Miklos Gau, who currently lies in 5th position. Let's see if he's able to find anything in the last sector. As Miklos Gau now then comes across the line. And no improvement for the Hungarian. Armar, meanwhile, remains in 3rd position. Franco Gamba doesn't improve on his fastest time. Kupop, meanwhile, is on an improvement. Across the line, he will go. He goes into 8th position. Joseph Willows, meanwhile, goes fastest by 600 of a second. So Willows now goes to the top, pinching it off Gamba right at the end. Videri now then, coming across the line. He's got somebody side by side with him. Videri is out. He's only 20th at that time. Byrne, meanwhile, goes into 10th. De Rosa goes to 10th. Here comes Titkov now then. Let's see if he's able to perform some kind of miracle in the last sector now then. The Russian now then is going to cross the line. And no. So Titkov is also out. Motra, meanwhile, doesn't improve. He lost time in the last sector. Mackenzie's on improvement. Let's see what the two-time champion can do. And he goes 13th with that lap time there then. As meantime, we look at Chung. He's also on improvement. Let's see how it is compared to teammate Willow. She's down on her teammate, but let's see what Chung can do anyway. She's currently in 9th. Across the line comes the Ferrari driver, and she goes 6th with that time. So getting within that top 6 group, basically. As meantime, Campana, he's the last guy to possibly try and bump Gomez out, but at the moment, it doesn't look like the American is improving. So far, it's going to be a row 9 lockout for Williams. Obviously, a lot better than what it was in China when they both qualified on the back row. But anyway, Campana, unless he performs some kind of miracle, I don't think he's going to make it. Campana now then comes across the line. And no, Campana is also out. So there we are. We have our bottom 6. And I think the biggest shocker out of all that, you have to say, is Andre Videri.
Yep, agreed. It's very bad qualifying for him. And yeah.
As a result of that, though, Joseph Willows tops the session by nicking it off of Franco Gamba right at the end, and then Franco Lopez runs out the top 3. The top 3, though, only separated by 900 of a second, so quite a close session, it must be said, from the top 3. It must very, very close, you'd have to say, Dennis.
Yeah, indeed. We can prepare for... Yeah, we can prepare for... No, I don't... They could Q3... for now, but yeah.
Yeah, so Gomez, though, saving his bacon, but you have to say the Alphas looking a little bit off the pace at the moment.
Yeah,
As Joseph having to wait there for Franco Lopez, I think it's Franco Lopez that is, to get towed back. No, it's Armar Car, actually. It's the number 14. So we're actually going to the menu screen now because you've just seen the guys frozen. Here we are on the menu screen. So a reminder then, Willow's top, Gamba second and Lopez in third. And the bottom 6, the guys not making it into Q2 are Lean Campana, Felix Sontag will have his helmet back tomorrow, Maxim Titkov, Andre Videri, Jared Fosbury and Rosetta Martinez. So they are your bottom 6. And we will now just wait now until Q2. So anyway, I have to say, obviously, I'm surprised that Andre Videri hasn't made it because he has looked very strong in qualifying over the last few races, but today it just hasn't seemed to be his day. And I think Dennis is having a few technical problems at the moment, guys, hence why you're hearing the Discord noise in the background. I think Dennis is having a few internet issues, so just bear with him. I think he'll come back in a bit, unless... are you actually back now, actually? It said that you weren't on for some reason on the screen I was on, so... Oh well. Some Discord being Discord, I guess. Okay, so, yeah. Discord being Discord.
Yeah, as always.
And, so, anyway. Obviously, Williams doing a lot better than what they did in China, of course. Locking out row 9 instead of row... of the back row, and but I think obviously Martinez in last position. He'll obviously be a bit disappointed to not be able to out-qualify Maxim again in this session, and so that will probably disappoint him a lot there. And if you don't mind, if I sound a little bit quiet, I do apologise. I'm just putting some stuff down for Twitter, of course, because obviously I have to put the results down on Twitter. And so apologies if I go off a little bit off script there, guys. So anyway, leave your predictions, guys, in the stream chat. How you think Q2 is going to pan out, who you think we're going to get knocked out, and who you think is going to make it. It will be very interesting to see who's going to make it into the final qualifying session. Yeah, be aware of that. So we've got the stream back now from Yumi, so we're getting Q2 underway very, very soon. Obviously, a reminder, of course, it is meant to be a dry session, so don't be too surprised. But we're getting underway again. So again, leave your predictions for Q2, who's going to get knocked out and who you think is going to make it through. So yeah, guys, I'm just typing something. I should be finishing this off before the first car gets out onto the track. Of course, we have the long loading screen as well, so it gives me enough time to type all of this in. So I guess I'm kind of lucky on that regard. So that really. So here we go. Yep, that's all tweeted, and now we just wait for this loading screen for Baku to load up. Of course, anybody who needs to wonder why the loading screen is long for Azerbaijan, it's because obviously it is a long track, but combined with all the buildings that are surrounded with it, it does take a while for the track to load. So yeah, I think a lot of you will also be probably, if you only just tuned in, you're unaware of what happened earlier today. We obviously had a little technical issue that happened earlier today involving the crash physics, as it turned out, the damage physics, I should say, with Grand Prix 4, but those problems have finally been fixed, hence why you're now seeing it in action. But we're now in the garages, ready for Q2, and we'll be getting underway very, very soon indeed. Who do you think might get knocked out in this session, Dennis?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. Yeah, I would say Chris Sheffield will be knocked out for Gabriel Gomez. Then yeah, I think Toro Rosso, a Racing Point, or the both winners, I say.
Okay, well, I also expect the remaining Alfa Romeo to be out as well, because it seems that the Alfa Romeo appears to be a little bit off pace today, must be said, with Videri in 20th and Gomez only just able to scrape it into Q2, but who knows, he might surprise us. But the first car on track is David Kupok in the Toro Rosso, and obviously he had a great start in Australia and had a great comeback in Bahrain, but China appeared to be a little bit of a disaster for the German. He'll be looking to put that behind him here at Baku, and as he'll be the first to start a lap here in Q2, as he makes his way through the left and right-hander, as he just makes his way out of the corner before heading towards the double right-hander. For anybody who are wondering about GP2, that will not be affected as well, because of course GP2 usually starts at 7 PM BST anyway, so this will finish before that anyway, so that's not going to be too much of a problem. So Kupok now then making his way for the right and left-hander before making his way up the hill towards the flat-out double left-hander, and he will soon be starting his first flying lap in just a little bit. Through the left-hander he goes, underneath the F1 2019 promotion for the video game, because obviously this track is based on the 2019 version of the track, and coincidentally these are the 2019 cars, so hey, the garages suit the cars, I guess. So anyway, it's the That's Kupok now then just comes around the final two corners, as he'll now make his way onto the longest straight on the calendar, and he will start his first flying lap of Q2, and he'll be the one setting the benchmark for everybody to beat now then. So Kupok comes down the pit straight, and across the line he will now go, as Kupok now then comes towards the first corner. It obviously narrows out on the exit, and we're looking to not make any mistakes whatsoever. And Kupok as well, obviously the last couple of races, it must be said, not had the best of qualifying, it must be said. Nothing compared to the qualifying in Australia. Obviously he did get a little bit lucky in Australia, of course, because of the changeable weather, but he was there at the right time and he was able to grab that third position. Just a shame that he wasn't able to get some very high points in Australia after the contact he had with Miklos Gal. But David Cupart then coming out of turn 4, and he'll soon be approaching the end of sector 1 very soon. Just as soon as he comes out of this very slow chicane, through the right he goes, getting as close to the wall on the outside, as he will now approach the end of sector 1. What is that time going to be at the checkpoint? It's a 43.487. That's the first sector for him, as he'll now make his way towards the castle section. And Roke and Motrin are bettering his time at the moment, according to the left-hand side. And so is Chris Chatfield, oddly enough. So this is not a good first opening lap at the moment for David Cupart, but it could all change as well. He could gain some time through the twisty bits. We know the Toro Rosso is quite good on downforce, hence why Red Bull is also quite good when it comes to downforce. They get a little bit of information from their big team, from their big sisters, it must be said. As Cupart does a 113.454 in the second sector. Let's see what it goes in this final sector, which is basically just a sprint to the finish, really. Through the left, then the right, making his way down the pit straight. And let's see what David Cupart can do now then. Down the pit straight comes the German, and Cupart will soon be coming across the line. And David Cupart now then comes across the line. Let's see what he can do. And let's see, he does a 137 point whatever, because Roke has beaten that. And then Motrin beats his teammate by 5 tenths of a second. Here comes Chris Chatfield. Let's see what he can do. And he goes into second, so a good time there from Chatfield. Carr, 1 tenth up on Motrin. Lopez now goes quickest by 4 tenths of a second. Not the quickest we've seen. We've seen the Red Bulls and the Ferraris get into the 1 minute 35s. Mackenzie goes into 6th. Not a good time for him. Second place for Gomez. He seems to have stepped it up now in this session. Kirishima De Rosa now then coming across the line. Let's see what the McLaren driver can do. And it's only 8th place for him. Here comes Joseph Willows in the Ferrari, and he's up on Lopez. Let's see what time he can do. And it's a 135.6 for Willows. So I think that is the quickest we've seen in this session so far, as Matteo Catalan goes into 10th. Here comes Franco Gama. Can he try and knock Willows off the top? And no, he can't. Only 3rd quickest for Gama. But can Gao cross the line? He goes 3rd. Evan Byrne in the Renault. Let's see what he can do. And he goes 9th quickest. Tomaselli now then comes across the line. Let's see what the Italian can do. The man who got his first ever podium last time out goes 11th. Another person who got their first ever podium, Chung, goes to 2nd, making it a Ferrari 1-2 on this first run. Willow's currently quickest ahead of teammate Chung, but it seems that Gomez might have stepped up his game from in Q2, Dennis.
Yeah, definitely. It was a great lap from him. Yeah, it's very surprising, not just for me, but I think for everyone.
After those first ones as well, it's easy to point out as well that both McLarens are currently in the drop zone. Tomaselli in 12th and De Rosa in 14th. They're going to have to step it up on their second flying lap. And of course, one thing to note as well for Joseph Willows, he obviously took pole position here last season. He wasn't able to convert it into the win. That was his then teammate Amar Carr who went on to take the victory. And so Willows looking to see if he can make it 2 Baku poles in a row. But so really, of course, Willows winning last time out in China to put him within 1 point of championship leader Franco Lopez, with Franco Gamba a further 9 points back in 3rd. Looking very close in the early stages in this championship. We've had 3 different winners in the first 3 races. Could we have a 4th different winner this week? That is going to be the question. This Cupart pulls in front of the Toro Rosso box, and he'll be wheeled back into the garage by his crew. But so far, Toro Rosso not doing well so far in this session, must be said. 15th and 16th.
Yeah, very disappointing for Toro Rosso after Catalan's good lap in Q1. Yeah, they really need to get on a good second lap.
We'll have to wait and see, of course. Everybody coming back into the pits, of course. Everybody getting the pit symbols next to his name. And hello, Raphael. Obviously, one of the newbies in BTCC. How are you doing? As Gomez gets wheeled back into pit lane, as Catalan was back into the pits as well. Everybody now back into the pits. So anybody who's been on Discord may have noticed that everybody from BTCC has now got a wiki page. So every driver now has a wiki page. It's all been updated, along with the photographs as well from the BTCC drivers. The guys in Formula E will be getting their photographs updated once the Formula E test session happens, which is this Thursday, in fact. So keep an eye on that. This Thursday we will have the Formula E pre-season test at the Circuit Ricardo Tormo in Valencia, which will actually be hosting a race for Formula E. In fact, it will be hosting the finale. Reason being because obviously Formula E went there in real life. So I thought to myself, why not GP4 FEOC go there for a race as well? Obviously, they're having a big increase on the calendar, 12 to 14 races, thanks to some street tracks that recently got added onto Grand Prix 4, such as Manhattan, the Circuito della Morella circuit, and the Fontainebleau, I think it's pronounced Fontainebleau circuit, right on the outskirts of Paris. So lots of exciting stuff coming their way. George Roque is now on the track for Racing Point, just outside the top 10. His teammate Motrin currently in the top 10, so he'll be looking to see if he can try and get both Racing Points into Q3. This track appears to be quite a strong track for Racing Point. It was in real life, and so far it seems in GP4 it seems to be the same case as well at the moment.
Yeah, indeed. Nothing going on here.
I think I've pretty much covered all the points that Dennis wanted to say there. So into the castle section now then goes George Roque, as he just makes his way for the right and left-hander. And he should hopefully not get any traffic on the exit of the pit lane, but we'll have to wait and see as he makes his way through the flat-out double left-hander before making his way down towards this left-hander on the track. Down the hill he goes then towards the final braking point on the track, because the rest of the track after this point is all flat out, and he will start his lap very, very soon. Only Garber and Tomaselli left to come out, and as I say, that Garber has just come out, and so has Tomaselli. So now everybody is now out on the racetrack, so luckily for George, he will not experience any traffic on his second flying lap. And I wonder if this will be the final flying lap as well, judging by how much time we've got left on the clock. We'll have to wait and see on that, as George Roque now then starts his second flying lap as he makes his way towards the first corner. It narrows out on the exit before making their way towards turn 2, another 90-degree left-hander as he makes his way down the second long straight. This could be where we could see some overtaking in the race. You have to be quite lucky as well, and you have to get your car perfectly positioned for an overtake down into turn 3. I think obviously the main overtaking we're going to see is possibly into turn 1 thanks to that massive straight. Through turn 3 he went there, into turn 4 he goes, flicking it through the right as he'll now make his way towards the very, very slow chicane, and he'll soon be approaching the end of sector 1 very, very soon through the left. Then the right-hander, getting as close to the wall on the outside. You can just see on the opposite side there, the drivers making their way down the pit straight, the guys who are still yet to start a lap. Roque currently improving on his personal best in the first sector by 0.2 of a second, as you can see on the def panel at the top. Up the hill through the castle section through the right, and then into the left-hander, as he'll now make his way towards the quick double left-hander through the first one, and then into the second part, as just a little bit of steering input goes into that second part there through this 90-degree left-hander before making their way down towards the final braking point in the end of sector 2, and he's now 0.5 up on his current best. I think he could make it into the top 10, but we'll have to wait and see how his car performs in this last sector, which is basically just a sprint to the finish. So through the final 2 corners then comes George Roque, the 4-time race winner of the OC, as he makes his way down the pit straight now then, and across the line comes George Roque, just coming down this very, very long straight. Can he get himself into the top 10? Across the line he will go, and yes he can. He gets up to the 8th ahead of teammate Roland Motrin. As meantime, Chatfield, who's also in the top 10, currently not able to improve at the moment. Obviously, teammate Jared Fosby was able to get into Q3 last time out. He'll be looking to do the same here at Baku. He's not able to improve that time by. Gomez not on an improvement at the moment. He crosses the line and remains in 6th position. David Kupok's on an improvement, so he could knock Chatfield down into the bottom 6. But let's see. Kupok currently 16th. Across the line goes the German, and he's still 16th, but he improves on his lap time. Catalan goes up to 5th, so he pushes Chatfield down to 11th position. Motrin not on an improvement, and he remains in 10th position. Carr, meanwhile, is on improving. He currently finds himself down in 8th position, so he desperately needs to improve, as the Mercedes now then, or the King of Baku, makes his way down the pit straight. Let's see what Almar Carr can do. His teammate Franco Lopez is also on a lap behind him. Carr crosses the line and he goes into 5th position ahead of Catalan. Here comes Franco Lopez. He's also on an improvement. Can he try and knock Willows off the top? No, he can't. He lost time in the last sector. Chung on improvement. She improves, and she's only 9 thousandths off her teammate, so quite close between the 2 Ferrari teammates. Mackenzie and Byrne, meanwhile, trying to give each other slipstream, but neither of them improve. De Rosa doesn't improve, remains in 15th, so McLaren appearing to struggle here, it seems. Gal doesn't improve. Willows, meanwhile, is on improvement, and he improves further by a further 10th. He's on 135.576. Garber goes up into 3rd position. Here comes Tomaselli across the line, goes only a length at that time. Still, both McLarens in the bottom 6. So Willow's now on a 135.576. I think that is the quickest we have seen. So yeah, Catalan getting a massive improvement there. But at the moment, unless I wonder if we're going to see one more car go out in time. But I think at the moment, I think we're going to be seeing both McLarens going out.
Yeah, that's a big shame for them, because they had hopes of getting one car, or even both. But I see Thomas saying 11th, and Ross, I think that's very disappointing for them.
But let's see if anybody goes out. If anybody goes out below 1 minute 35, then they will not be able to get a lap time in. And I think it's a little bit tight with the lap time, but we'll have to wait and see as Roke gets wheeled back into his Racing Point garage. There is Gabriel Gomez, who might have made it through. We'll have to wait and see. He is in 8th position, making a step up in terms of pace compared to the lack of pace he showed in Q1. And finally turning up the wick, it seems, in Q2, with his teammate Andre Vaderi being all the way down in 20th position. Both Toro Rosso's back in the garage. Looks like Q-Pop might be out, and it looks like his car doesn't want to stop, it seems. It will stop eventually. It's one of those typical things with Grand Prix 4. It's one of them typical things with AI, unfortunately. The AI being a bit what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit clueless, it must be said. So that's that, really. Question is, though, will we see anybody else go out on the track before the 1 minute 35 point? And I think his car is just about to stop now. I believe his tyres are slowing down a bit more. And yes, he has stopped, and he makes himself... He basically does a Doctor Who style transition back into the garage, and that is the Racing Point going out. Yes, Roke will just have enough time to do one more lap. Will anybody else join him? That is the question. It looks like a few will not get any laps in, but will anybody else other than George Roke get one more flying lap in before the end of the session? Preferably, the bottom 6 will be hoping they can get out before that 1 minute 35 barrier, but let's see as the seconds tick down. As Gomez is going out, I don't know if he'll have enough time to do a lap, but there you have it. None of the bottom 6 have gone out, so we've got the bottom 6 already secure. Tomaselli, Chatfield, Byrne, McKenzie, DeRosa and Kupak are out. As we will be seeing, of course, Roke do one more lap. Whether Gomez has got enough time to do one more lap, I'm not really sure, given where the checkered flag line is and where his garage is. That's why I'm not 100% sure if he can make it or not. But we will wait and see, as Roke now then makes his way around the double right-hander before approaching the castle section. Up the hill he will now go before going around the right and left-hander. As he just comes out of the corner now then before heading towards the flat-out double left-hander. Through the left, and then into the next left. And now he will go down towards the 90-degree left-hander. As he will go towards the last breaking point on the racetrack. So now making his way now then towards the final 2 turns, and he will be able to start the final flying lap. But the question is Gomez going to be able to? Obviously both of them are already through. It's just about possibly trying to improve on that lap time to get himself prepared for Q3. Roke now then coming down the pit straight, and he will start his next flying lap, which he does so now. Let's see if Gomez is able to make it now, or whether it will just be Roke that does a lap with just over 10 seconds remaining. I'm just trying to have a look on the mini-map. I can see there's Gomez's dot. Let's see if he makes it. He's going to come. I think he might just make it, actually. And I believe he has. So I think Gomez has just made it. So I think Gomez is on a lap. And let's see. Yes, Gomez did make it just. So we've got 2 guys out there on a flying lap. So Roke now then making his way towards turn 4, just making it out the corner before heading towards the next couple of the corners on the track, through the left and then into the right, getting as close to the wall as possible. Let's see if he can improve on his personal best in the first sector. And no, he's 5/10 off in the first sector that time by, so he's way off at the moment as he now makes his way towards the castle section, flicking it through the left, and then through the right, and then into the left-hander. Now heading towards the double left-hander, now then the flat-out double left-hander, before making his way towards the next left-hander through the left, heading down the hill now then towards the final few corners on the racetrack, flicking the car through as he'll now make his way, swooping it around that right-hander, now into the final 2 corners on the racetrack now then, and the pit straight he will now go, and let's see what George Roke can do. Well, we'll be seeing Gabriel Gomez in just a little bit. Let's see if he can perform some kind of miracle in the last sector anyway. I doubt he will, but let's see. Roke crosses the line, and no, he does not improve. Gomez is on an improvement though, so he could further improve on his time. Let's see as he makes his way down the pit straight, obviously where the Ferrari engine is at its most strength, as it is at an advantage. Gomez now then coming across the line. Let's see what he can do, and he improves on his time but remains in 8th. So there you have it then. That is the end of Q2 then. So as a result of that, Willow's topping the session from Chung in 2nd and Garnbert rounding out the top 3. And the guys who did not make it into the final qualifying session are Paolino Tomaselli, Chris Chatfield, Evan Byrne, Jay McKenzie, Kirishima De Rosa and David Kupok. So 2 McLarens, 2 Renaults, a Haas and a Toro Rosso. So after that session, Dennis, what did you make of it? Dennis, are you there?
I didn't understand it quite well because my internet a bit of lag.
I asked what. Okay. I asked what did you make of that session?
No, it was lagging again, unfortunately.
I'll try again. Did you? How? What? Let me try again. What was that? What did you make of that session, Dennis?
Yeah, it seems like there will be a great pole battle. Both Mercedes now, both Ferraris, and also Franco Garnbert. It will be very exciting.
It should hopefully be quite exciting for Q3. Well, whilst we wait for Yuri to set up Q3, let us know your predictions of who you think is going to take pole position in the chat, and in fact, how you think the top 10 is going to play out as well whilst we are waiting, of course. As I just try and get a photograph of my AI. Just give me a mo. Where is my AI? There it is. So, give me a mo. Obviously we're just waiting for Q3 to get on the way, so be patient guys whilst Yuri sets that up. Yeah, I'll just take a picture of myself. Just grabbed it. There we go. So yeah, so obviously I'll be putting that up on Twitter whilst we're waiting as well. But anyway, guys, if you just joined us, just leave your predictions on who the top 10 will be. I'm pretty sure people in the chat will notify you of who made it into the top 10. So there you go. We've just got the notification that back on, and we'll be soon getting ready for Q number 3. And obviously we have the very long loading screen to get through as well. Obviously gives me a time to type up this tweet for the results of Q number 3. So Dennis, before the session starts, who do you think is going to get pole position?
That's a very interesting question, to be honest, but I say it will be Joseph Willows who takes pole.
I think it will be a Ferrari, and trying not to be biased, but I think it will be Joseph Willows as well. Not trying to be biased, but given that he's topped both sessions so far in qualifying, I think he might just have the yes. But you never know as well. Laura Chung did start to eat into his lead a little bit towards the end, so we could see her take pole position. But yeah, I do believe it will be a Ferrari. I am going to say I think Willows will make it 2 in a row in Baku. So, but we'll have to wait and see. Of course, we've still got one more session to find that one out. Let's just finish off putting this tweet out, and there we go. So now we've got to the end of the loading screen, obviously the longest loading screen we'll have in GP4 OC, because of course Baku's very highly detailed textures. But we're now in the garages for the final qualifying session, finally, after all the delays that we had earlier on today. For those of you who only just tuned in, we obviously had a technical problem earlier on involving the crash physics of Grand Prix 4, specifically for this mod, but we finally got the problem sorted after a deep investigation. And it meant that we had quite an extensive delay, I must have said, around about a 50-minute delay. But we finally got it underway, so luckily this session will finish before GP2 starts at around 51 minutes time. But Gomez is the first on track for Q3. He's also joined by George Rote, the guy who also was joined with him right at the end of Q2 there. Those two getting one more lap in before Q2 came to a close. As Gomez now then makes his way towards turn 3. As he will now make his way towards turn 4 on the racetrack. And it'll be very interesting to see where Gomez ends up, especially with that Ferrari engine, because he was able to step it up towards in Q2 after quite a tricky Q1 for the Alfa Romeos, hence why Federi finds himself down in 20th for tomorrow's Azerbaijan Grand Prix. As Gomez just makes his way around the double right-hander. We'll probably only see 2 flying laps, maybe 3 for some guys if they're lucky, like we did in Q2, because of course it is still a 15-minute session, as unfortunately on Grand Prix 4, 15 minutes is the bare minimum that you can have for a qualifying session. You can't go any lower than that, so sadly we can't have a 12-minute session like it is in real life for Q3, or even a 10-minute session like it was a few years ago. So that's why, guys, for anybody who's relatively new to the OC or to Grand Prix 4 in general and is a bit confused about that. But anyway, Gomez now then just comes out of the final corner, and Roca's got to be careful he doesn't get held up by Gomez because it could impede his lap. But Gomez now then through the final 2 turns, just about to start his lap, and he should get away a little bit from Roca down the straight, given how powerful the Ferrari engine is in the back of the Alfa. As now Gomez now then makes his way down the pit straight, and Gabriel Gomez now then starts his lap. Now then he's just crossed the line, and he now makes his way down towards turn 1. And we'll be seeing a little bit what his first sector is like through the first 2 turns, which are all 90 degree. I think pretty much all of the first sector is just compressed of 2 long straights and a few 90 degree corners. Heading their way down the straight then comes Gabriel Gomez before he makes his way down towards turn 3 on the track. A little bit of a drop before heading towards turn 3. This 90 degree left-hander. And we make our way in towards turn 4. A little run before heading into this corner, and now heading towards the very slow chicane before heading towards the end of sector 1. We'll see what Gomez's first sector is like compared to everyone. I think George Roque is slowly closing onto the back of his exhaust, so Roque could get held up by Gomez here if he's not careful. Gomez's first sector is 43.6 through the double right-hander. Goes Gabriel Gomez as he'll make his way now then up towards the castle section, flicking it through the left and then into the right and then into the left-hander, probably lifting through those corners really, because that's probably the fastest way you can take those corners through the double left-hander, these very quick left-handers, as now he makes his way down towards the second to last 90 degree corner on the track through the left, heading towards the end of sector 2 now then, and it's a 1:13.6. Just looking at Roque's time at the moment, he's still up on Gomez, so I don't think he's being held up too much. Although, as I said that though, you can just see Roque there trying to get by there, and he's going to get his lap is going to get compromised as a result. So unfortunately for Roque, this first lap has kind of been wasted for him. As Gabriel Gomez now then comes across the line in the Alfa Romeo, and let's see what lap time he can do, and it is a 1:37.9. Roque still goes quicker than Gomez, but it could have been a lot more. Mottram, meanwhile, is going to go, I think, a lot quicker than Roque, and he does by 9 tenths. Willows, meanwhile, crosses the line, a tenth quicker than Mottram. Not the best we've seen from Willows, it must be said. Lopez, meanwhile, crosses the line in the Mercedes to go into second place. Here comes Miklos Gau in the Red Bull. making his way down the pit straight, and he's going up on Willows at this point in time. Gal crosses the line, a 1:35.9. Let's see what Franco Garba can do. Gal's teammate, Franco Garba, now then comes across the line, the Australian Grand Prix winner, and he goes into 5th. Not the best of times for Garba. Here comes Matteo Catalan, meanwhile, coming down the pit straight. And let's see what the Italian can do, as Catalan now then comes across the line. And he goes into 6th place. Chung goes to 2nd with that time, probably getting a little bit of slipstream there from her former team. Here comes Amar Kar, not up on Gal at the moment. So far, it's been a good first run for Gal, it must be said. But of course, this is not the fastest times we've seen so far in this session. That came courtesy of Willows with a 1:35.5. So we'll see those lap times a little bit later on in the session. We'll have to wait and see. Kar only 6th for that time. In fact, right behind Motrin, it must be said. So, some very interesting results after those first runs, you have to say, Dennis.
Yeah, indeed. It was a great first run by Ola Motje. 5. So let's see if we can keep this P5 or maybe even improve, but it's very unlikely.
To wait and see, of course. Roke still being held by Gomez. I'll be hoping that isn't the case when they go out for their second flying lap. Gomez and Roke getting close now to the pit entrance, and so they'll be both going in quite soon. As they just flick to the left, and into the pits go both Gomez and Roke, making their way through this little chicane, and just coming down pit lane on the pit limiter, and they'll be heading towards their garages very, very soon. As Gomez just looking for the Alpha pit lane, which has the Black Hole of Calcutta, as George Roke calls it whenever he does his commentary. As Gomez now then will be wheeled back into his garage. Currently P10. Obviously he was in P8 in Q2, so we'll be looking to try and see if we can equal that a little bit later on in the session. So through the left-hander we go. As there is George Roke. Speaking of which, the AI George Roke just parked up there, and he'll be hoping he doesn't get held up by Gomez on this run, as the Racing Point mechanics wheel his car back into the garage, and they also wheel back his teammate Roland Motrin as well. Both of them, of course, having a reunion this season, having last been teammates in 2010 when the team then was known as Force India. So obviously Motrin and Roke know each other quite well. But you have to say, back in 2010, Motrin, it has to be said, in terms of the season, kind of destroyed Roke, really, in terms of the championship standings, and I think in terms of pace as well. But it seems things have changed since then. Obviously, Roke had that stellar season last season, and he's obviously carrying that momentum into this season. And so far, both of them looking to try and help Racing Point get as high as they can in the Constructors' Championship. They'll be hoping for big things as well in 2020. Gomez is the first to come out onto the track. Gomez, it looks like Roke is actually waiting a bit, so he's not, in order to not get held up by Gomez this time around. But Gomez now coming out on the track again, and whether this will, I believe this might be the second to last run for Gomez. We'll have to wait and see due to how much time there is left. Might be if the final runs for some people. We'll have to wait and see as Gomez makes his way down the long straight before heading his way towards the left-hander, flicking it through the left. And he will now approach turn 4. And of course, Gomez so far this season has scored points in the first 3 races. He'll be looking to see if he can continue that streak here at Baku. There was a lot of question marks surrounding about whether Alfa Romeo would cope without Paolino Tomaselli ever since Paolino moved to McLaren. But so far, it seems the team is coping all right so far without Paolino. Both Andrea and Gabriel picking up some solid points for the team. And the team currently finding themselves in 5th place in the Constructors' Championship. Just a couple of points ahead of Racing Point, who ironically was the team that Gabriel was holding up when George Roke was trying to pass him on that first flying lap. But anywho, Gabriel Gomez now then making his way towards the left-hander, and we'll be seeing him start his lap quite soon. And let's see what Gomez can do down on the second flying lap. He currently finds himself 2 seconds off Gal. We'll be looking to see if he can get up to around about 8th or 7th if he can on this second flying lap. He just makes his way down this very long pit straight to start his second flying lap. And nobody in the background at the moment. We should be seeing a car appear in the background quite soon, given how long this straight is. Or will we, in fact? Oh, just about. I think I just about saw a car there just appear in shot before we got there. As Gomez comes out of turn one of the Ferraris comes out onto the racetrack. I'm not sure if you caught which one that was, Dennis, by any chance, which Ferrari that was that came out onto the track. Oh, yes, it was Laura Chung, and in fact I was just about to say that because it was a blue helmet, so that is Laura Chung. One of the Mercedes has also come out as well. I don't know if you knew who that was as well, Dennis.
This was Armar car.
Okay, so it was Armar car that came out onto the racetrack as Gomez now then comes around the very slow chicane. Let's see if he goes up on his personal best in the first sector. Let's see now then. And no, 1/10 off his personal best, 1.1 off Gal in the first sector. So not a good second flying lap at the moment for the Brazilian as he makes his way up the hill through the castle section and then into this medium speed chicane. As he will now make his way towards the double left-hander, flicking in through the section of corners. As he will now make his way down towards this near 90-degree left-hander, making his way down the hill towards the final braking point on the track, 2 seconds off of Gal, though he did slightly improve in the second sector. He did gain a little bit on his personal best in the second sector, so let's see if he can keep that up in this final set to improve just a tad bit, but I don't think he's going to gain any places, but let's see. Gomez now then making his way down the pit straight now then, and Gomez now then coming across the line. Let's see what he can do, if he's able to improve, and no, he can't, remains in 10th position. Willows meanwhile not on an improvement, so he'll need to be quick if he wants to get a second flying lap, if he's got any chance of trying to take his second consecutive pole here in Baku. Willows does not improve and remains in 3rd position. Roki's also not on an improvement as he comes down the pit straight, although I do think he might gain some of the time back in this last sector given how much Gomez held him up earlier on. Let's see if that becomes a reality. Roke comes across the line and he does improve to go into 8th position. Here comes Franco Gamba, not on an improvement himself, down in 7th position, so this is not a good lap at the moment for Franco Gamba, the man who currently lies 3rd in the Drivers' Championship, 10 points behind Championship leader Franco Lopez. Franco Gamba now then, across the line comes the Italian. Let's see if he can pull something back in the last sector. He can, but still remains in 7th position. Lopez also not on an improvement as well, so we're not seeing a lot of improvements this time, although he is relatively close to his personal best, it must be said, according to the timing screen on the left hand side there, little split times that we had there. Lopez does improve in the end to go into 4th position, so he was able to use a little bit of that momentum in that last sector. Motrin meanwhile does not improve, remains in 5th position. Here comes Miklos Gal, the current pole sitter. Across the line he will go. Can he improve? And no, he can't. Here comes Catalan, who is on an improvement, so we are seeing some green sector times now. Catalan up on his personal best. Across the line comes the Toro Rosso, and he goes 8th for that time to get in front of Roke. Chung is not on an improvement, surprisingly enough. I thought she might have been, but she is close to her personal best, so maybe she could do a Lopez and maybe pull something off in that last sector. Let's see. So Chung now then comes across the line, and she doesn't. She remains in 2nd position as Carr getting a little bit of healthy slipstream there, although I don't know if he got held up by the Alfa Romeo, but across the line he goes, and he goes fastest. Carr to the top of the timing sheet by 0.08 of a second. Carr to the top at this point in time. Now, the question is, will we get a second run for some of the cars? We'll have to wait and see, particularly Willows, who came in, who has just come into the pits. We'll have to wait and see. I think for Carr, his session might be done with. I think maybe for Gal and Chung as well. So I think maybe if Willows is able to get back out in time, he might be the only one that could potentially stop Armar Carr from taking his first ever pole position as a Mercedes driver. We'll have to wait and see as Gomez gets wheeled back into the pits. We might see one more lap from him. We'll have to wait and see as the timer ticks down at this point in time. Roke comes into the pits, I should say. I think he might be done, but we'll have to wait and see. He might prove me wrong there, but we'll see. As Roke will get wheeled back into the garage very soon, which he does. He gets wheeled back into the garage, and so he gets wheeled back into the garage. And we'll see if he can get one more run. I don't think he will, but we will see on that anyway. As the mechanics just lift the car up and just get it set in the garage just in case they decide to go back out. We'll just wait and see, really. Gomez is getting ready to go. I think he will get one more lap, but will Willows get one more lap? That is the question, as we just see Motrin there just pull there in front of Gomez. And let's see then. So is Gomez going to get going. Let's see. As we view his Alfa Romeo as Catalan goes back into pit lane there in the Toro Rosso. As Willows goes out on track, so he does have enough time, so he could be the only one that could stop Carr from getting pole position, unless by some miracle Gal, Chung, Lopez and maybe Garma get out on track as well, but we'll have to wait and see. Will Gomez get out on track as well? Let's see. Not much time left in the session, and I don't think Gomez will. So I think Willows is going to be the only one to do a lap time on this run. We'll have to wait and see. Gomez has just come out, but I don't think he's come out at the right time. We'll have to wait and see on that. I will have to keep an eye on the minimap there for Gabriel Gomez like I did with Q2, but I don't think he's done it in Q2. So Willows could be the only one that could stop Armar Carr from getting pole position. So let's wait and see if Willows can prevent his former teammate from getting pole at what is essentially Armar's favourite track, I think. So Willows now then making his way up towards the castle section and just getting his way around the track quick enough so then he can start one more flying lap, as he'll now make his way towards the double left-hander, flicking it through the left and then into the second left, as now we make our way towards the left-hander now then, getting to close to the wall as possible, as now into the final braking point, and then it's just a sprint towards the finish line where Willows will start his final flying lap. Carr having to wait patiently to see if he's done enough to get his first ever pole as a Mercedes driver. We'll have to wait and see on that, as Willows now then makes his way down the pit straight and he will start his final flying lap. Let's see, he comes across the line and he will start it round about now with just over 10 seconds to go. Let's see if Gomez has done enough. I don't think he has. In fact, he is getting quite close to the checkered flag. Has he done enough? Don't think he has, or has he? I'm not sure. It looked quite tight there. Let's see if Gomez he did actually have enough. So Gomez just having enough time there to start a lap. So let's see then. Willows now then. Willows now then, we're right on board with. Probably the only man who could prevent Carr from getting pole here in Baku. Willows now then, through into turn 4. Now approaches the very slow chicane, and let's see what Willows' first sector is going to be like. Flicking it through the left and then into the right, using all the curb as possible. Let's see what Willows' first sector is like. No traffic in front, so no excuses for Willows. Let's see, and he's 4/10 off of Carr, and he's 1/10 off his personal best. So at the moment, Carr looking good for pole position, unless Willows can pull something in these final two sectors. Let's see what Gomez's sectors are like. Let's see if he can get out a 10th position. And he is 2/10 off on his personal best, so he might even, if he's able to find a lot more time in those final two sectors, he could even get in front of Roke. We'll have to wait and see what his last two sectors are like. Here is Willows then, making his way through the double left-hander. Let's see if he can find some time in the second sector or not. Flicking it through the left, heading down the hill. And let's see what Willows' second sector is like. And he's still off on his personal best. So I think at the moment, unless Willows performs some kind of miracle, I think Carr has done enough to get his first ever pole position as a Mercedes driver. Through into the final two turns then comes Joseph Willows down, and as he makes his way down the pit straight now then, as Willows will now come across the line. Let's see if he can find some miracle. I don't think he will. Let's see then as Willows crosses the line, and no, he doesn't. He remains in 4th position. Gomez meanwhile, let's see if he can make up any places. He is still improving on his personal best. Gomez now then, the Brazilian, comes across the line, and no, he remains in 10th but improves his best time. So as a result, Armar Carr takes his first ever pole as a Mercedes driver. So Armar Carr has finally done it, but can he convert it into the win tomorrow? He desperately needs to, after what has been a tricky start to the season from last season's runner-up. Armar Carr on pole position for tomorrow's Azerbaijan Grand Prix. A very good lap indeed from the 3-time winner here at Baku. So we're just rewinding the clock to the point where Carr got that pole position, and he even had a little bit of traffic in front of him, but luckily it didn't hold him up on the lap. But I'm now going to shut up and I'm going to allow you to see the lap. That is how Amar Kar took his first ever Mercedes pole position. You saw there in the middle sector, he was actually down on Gal, but thanks to that little bit of slipstream he got from Gabriel Gomez, it meant he was able to beat the Hungarian by 800ths of a second. Nearly 900ths, I should say. But that is the end then of qualifying. But before we go, we're going to go through the top 10 for you. It is Amar Kar on pole position with Miklos Gau in second, Loa Chung in third, with Joseph Willows in fourth, Franco Lopez in fifth, with Roland Motrin in sixth, Franco Gamba in seventh, Matteo Catalan in eighth, with George Roque in ninth, and Gabriel Gomez completing the top 10. So there you have it then. That has been it for qualifying. What did you make of the session overall, Dennis?
Yeah, it was very exciting, very surprising that not the Ferrari took pole, but Amar Kar, the king of Baku, strikes again, I would say. By the way, is this his first pole in Baku? I'm not sure.
Believe it is actually, because I know he's taken wins here, but I don't believe he's taken pole around here. So yeah, I believe it is his first pole here in Baku. So I guess that's one thing. But the question is, can he convert it into the win tomorrow? He desperately needs to if he wants to get his championship underway. He desperately needs to make it 4 out of 4 here in Baku if he wants to get himself back in that title fight. But anyway, that has been it for qualifying here at Azerbaijan. Of course, me and Dennis will not be commentators tomorrow because obviously George does the commentary for the highlights. You'll obviously hear Yuri at the beginning and the end of the stream anyway, and hopefully Yuri remembers the national anthem this time. Definitely not salty. But anywho, that has been it then from qualifying. I hope you've enjoyed it. So thank you all for watching. I've been JW97. He's been Dennis Graff. And we will see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. BST for the 51 lap Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Don't forget, in just under half an hour, we have the GP2 race here at Baku with Robert Ionescu and myself. So I'll need to have a little bit of a drink before I can do that. But until then, I've been JW97. He's been Dennis again. And we'll see you tomorrow for the race. Take care.